I'm just waiting on the notification. Alrighty. One second. Perfect. Boom. And we are live. I want to thank everyone for turning into a very special edition of Off the Record on the People's Podcast this evening. We have an incredible guest with us. She goes by the name of Sister Queen Nzinga Muhammad. She's going to give us some amazing information as well as inspiration. First of all, assalamu alaikum, ma'am.
Hello.
I want to thank you on behalf of myself, my family, and the viewing audience of the People's Podcast for taking time out of your busy schedule. Let's get right into it. I want to let people know how this conversation came about. Both of my sisters are giving me the greetings. Sister Miriam and Sister Naima. This conversation came about because of my sister seeing you in your views on Twitter. You always have very hot takes, as they say, on social media, and dealing with the R. Kelly case. I heard a lot from men, and I heard a lot from some women, but a lot of men. And I said I wanted to interview someone who had some opposing views, if you will, to what the majority of the people had been saying. So I saw a lot of free R. Kelly, a lot of railroading him, and I wanted to just hear your thoughts on the verdict.
Well, I will say that first and foremost, thank you for having me on this illustrious podcast. And also, I want to say shout out to these survivors and victims of sexual assault. I feel like in these conversations, they sometimes get lost in the sauce, and I feel like there should be more mention of them versus constantly talking about people who might harm them. The verdict, I feel like after seeing and following all of what's happened in 2019, and then even beyond that, back in 1994, the 2000s era, I think it's a very interesting conversation and a follow-up to what honestly Black people have been knowing all along. And within the Black community, the lack of accountability on this one person repeatedly now causes us to bring it up now again. And I think the verdict, honestly, we're going to get into it, but I feel like justice was served. Should he have gotten 10 years? Maybe, maybe not. But I do know that there needs to be a little bit more accountability when we're talking about people who do things to women and girls in our community, if we're really about the protecting of Black women.
Okay, great. Yes, ma'am. Do you think, from what I've seen, I mean, from the viewing audience, that there's a conspiracy to take down all the celebrities who are trying to buy television stations? Is that what's going on here?
Not in this case, no. I would say no. Historically, there has been, of course, there have always been, historically now in America, the charge of sexual assault against particularly Black men, mainly by white women and others, to bring down their careers, their legacy, their families, their towns and communities. I mean, look what happened with Black Wall Street. But not every Black man is Nelson Mandela. Not every Black man is a freedom fighter for the liberation of Black people as a whole. Not every unfortunately, not every Black man has the agenda to save all of us. Not every Black man is Jesus. I'm sorry. They have the potential to be, but unfortunately, we have been programmed and conditioned to do devilish things. And once we recognize that and acknowledge that, we can move forward better and know when to carry out justice and not be upset when justice is served.
Okay, yes, ma'am. So in the cases, I've heard a lot, like what you just said, about the respecting and protecting the Black women. I heard there were also some accusations of men. Could you tell us about that, or young boys?
Yeah, so that is also a thing within our community that we often overlook, right? The abuse of Black boys, because they are also valuable and they need to be protected and they need to be respected also. Unfortunately, we live in a world where sex is something that is very much attributed highly in terms of when men do it, to the point where when men, and if women are the predators of little boys, it's almost a slap to the face to the boys, because like, well, what was wrong with you that you didn't like it? What was wrong with you that that was supposed to happen. So we have a lot of celebrities revealing that they were 5 years old when they lost their virginity to an older woman. We have a lot of cases where they lost virginity even to another man. So that is something that we just really need to look at and care about. And I don't think that people really care as much as they say that they do. But there should definitely be the actual examples of caring, protecting Black women, Black children, Black men, Black people in general, regardless to whom or what.
Okay, great. Yes, ma'am. I just want to read some of the comments. My sister says we have this. Mimi says we have to. Miriam, we have to stop defending wrong. Period. My sister Naima says right. Not every Black man deserves our defense and protection, especially when they are predators. Okay. So my next question for you is, if we spoke earlier. You said you have brothers. I have sisters and people. Just men in general in the community. When a woman reports an assault or rape or an attack, should it matter if the person who is accused is successful or not?
It should not matter. No, absolutely not. I think sometimes we overlook what happened simply because of someone's status. And I think that's how a lot of people, the more power you have, the more easily it is to get away with it, because you have a little more room for people to cover for you. You have a lot more hands-on, a team even to help you cover things up and slide things under the rug. But it shouldn't matter if they are a billionaire. If something happens to you, it happened. And that's all, really.
Okay. Yes, ma'am. Well, I want to make sure that we address the fact that the sex tapes, right, that R. Kelly had back in the day, is that enough evidence, or is that still a conspiracy? From what you saw? Because you kept up with the case. I didn't keep up with the case.
So for me, that was enough for me. Even though I wasn't born back then, but once you see it now, it's like, yeah, I can't support this. I can't do that. But it wasn't just that. If you know what happened, the story of what happened with Aaliyah, and how she, a 15-year-old, was said to be older than what she was on a legal document that was bribed and taken out. And now she's able to marry this much older man, and things that happened to her being sexually assaulted by him when she was, I think, either 13, 14. And not even just her, other girls too, leading up to her. Aaliyah's not the first and only case that this happened. She's the well-known case, but not the only one, unfortunately. This is not, I don't want people to think that when these things happen, it is now some 2020 conspiracy that's just popping up because they're doing something. No, this goes back years. And people have been trying repeatedly to get some sort of justice, and they couldn't. So now that something is being done, the outcry to me just shows that you haven't been following the cases.
Okay, yes, ma'am. But what about this, where people say this, that if white men are able to rape women, then Black men should be able to as well? What about that?
That's a wild thing. That's a wild thing.
No, I'm saying that's how it comes off. Like, if they did this, then how come we can't? That's how it comes off. Like, I'm saying? They did this to their,
right.
And they got away with it. So how come, our celebrities can't get away with it?
Because one, there has to be a standard. There has to be some kind of moral correctness that we have in our community. I come from a culture, me and you both come from a culture where we've been told all of our lives, when we get in power, we're going to make examples out of people who harm Black women and girls and boys. We're gonna do this. Like, rapists deserve death. We come from that culture, and we come from that being recycled repeatedly. So for the same people who come from that culture to now say that doesn't matter anymore and don't understand why people are upset, it says to me, one, you haven't been studying, and two, you have terms and conditions when it comes to respect and protect of Black people when it's not grown men. I feel like it's hard to, of course we should understand, and we should look into, white men who have built systems that, they're able to finagle and then they're able to get off on certain charges. We should look into that, absolutely. At the same time, it is irresponsible and it is a horrible idea to think that just because they can do it, you can do it too. And just because they do it, you should do it too. Because that's not freedom, justice, and equality. and it never will be. You shouldn't want to replace your oppressor. You should want to be better than him. But unfortunately, if you see white people do, we feel like, oh, I should be able to get off too. How about you both go to jail? How about we you both be held accountable? How about we all have a sense of accountability and responsibility? Just because they're not doing it does not exempt you, but it should make you be inspired to serve justice to everyone, regardless of creed, class, or color. That's what we believe in. So if they get it off of what they're doing, and a lot of times these memes that people put up and trying to compare like two different races, for me, it's like, do you know? Like, did you watch a documentary? When the Survivor R. Kelly documentary first came out, people were saying, oh, how come there's no documentaries of the Catholic Church? All you need to do is YouTube that, because there's so many documentaries on so many. There's so many of the Catholic Church. There's documentaries on Harvey Weinstein. He had a whole documentary. He has maybe about 4 documentaries out about him right now, and several articles and tweets. So what I want people to understand also is that in our communities, we are a little closer to these top-notch celebrities. They're more reachable in our communities versus these white people in Hollywood. Harvey Weinstein will never come to my high school and check me out. Or he'll never come to my college and check me out. But someone, unfortunately, like what R. Kelly has been doing, can reach down into our communities and do something. There's some people happening within our communities that will do something. But you have someone at high power, Harvey Weinstein. I have no connection with that man. He can't reach down to me like that, and I can't reach up to him. But when you have access to us in the way that someone like R. Kelly unfortunately had and has, you can't really compare him to a Hugh Hefner up in Playboy Mansion. I don't know anything about that, but what I do know is that this man has access to my high school and to outside of a McDonald's where I frequent, if I were to do that. You know what I mean? So I feel like we can't really compare and contrast these cases because, one, we don't live with white people. We just don't, for the most part. They might live in your hood, but for the most part, we don't live with them. So our experiences mainly as Black women are with other Black men. So the people that are coming to our neighborhoods and doing things to us, unless they're white police officers or other people, today they are unfortunately people we know, our brothers, uncles, grandfathers, cousins, unfortunately. And it's people who have that power and access to us to reach back into the community and then take us up to where they are in a high celebrity status. And then we don't see them anymore. We don't see the girls anymore because they left the community, but you can always come back in for more. So that access is also very important too. And I feel like it's a key part that people miss. You don't hear about Harvey Weinstein in the same breath as R. Kelly because, one, your feed is Black Twitter. Black people talking about Black issues. So you're going to be separated from white issues where white people are dealing with naturally, even within our community. You're not going to hear about what the whites are doing for the most part, unless you're in that circle. But if you are at the very bottom and things are happening in your community, it's unfair to compare what your abuser does that lives across the street from you to somebody in Hollywood that you've never seen.
Okay, yes, ma'am. Thank you very much. And thank you for your honesty and your transparency. So many people are listening to you and watching you. Just Khadija says we shouldn't pattern ourselves as the white people. The minister made men take pledges during the May Man March to take responsibilities for our own. Just Naima says she's so tired of people comparing Elvis and Harvey Weinstein to R. Kelly. All predators are wrong. Mimi says all facts. And a lot of parents in our community are so willing to offer their children up because they want money and fame. Okay, great. My next question is you referenced the McDonald's and the high school. I think it was I want to say Simeon on the documentary. I only saw, that's what I'm saying. I'm learning because I only watched the first. Keep going because it was just emotionally I wasn't prepared to see.
Yeah,
I saw it on the documentary. But are you saying that if celebrities go to the high schools, that we shouldn't give them a pass because there's a conspiracy to take the Black man down? Is what you're saying?
No, I'm saying that there should be accountability, even though if you thoroughly believe there's a plot to take down Black men, cool. We can talk about that. But a lot of times that is used as a cover to avoid accountability. And that's where I think people are trying to enforce a conspiracy on something that really has none. Because if you have really been watching and paying attention, you'll know that this conspiracy happens all the time, but you can discern. You know how to discern, and we know how to discern. Unfortunately, people like to paint a brush of conspiracy every time somebody that they like or idolize does something bad, and for some reason they can't detach themselves from them because they've already made them a god besides God. So I think that, I don't think that it's a conspiracy. I think what's conspiracy is all these Black girls going missing. I think what's conspiracy is all these Black girls um, being abused and no one cares. I think there's something else bigger going on behind that. I think that all these systems, whether it's racism, sexism, they are real and they're carried out by people that we don't believe in a Mr. God. So I believe that while you can claim conspiracy on some things and then see like, oh, there's a hidden hand behind something, that's true. But sometimes it's just your creepy uncle at the cookout. Sometimes no, but really like sometimes the conspiracy is being deprogrammed to 400 years of seasoning and being programmed to be like your oppressor. Sometimes that's a conspiracy. Sometimes the conspiracy is this person is doing this because they too have been harmed. That's really the only conspiracy that I'm really caring about. Not that some big mystery god power is trying to take this one man down. Not really. I think it speaks to, this has more so to do with the community than it does with this one person, and the lack of accountability that we put on our own people and the lack of care we have towards our survivors and the victims.
Okay, great. Yes, ma'am. Well, I have a question about this cookout because me and my sisters, they laugh at me all the time because I never like the cookout. I don't want to hear about no cookout, blah, blah, blah. Because my question is, I'm a Kanye West fan, and Kanye West, who's never raped anybody, never been accused of murder, shooting, or has a different opinion, and he's not in the cookout. He's can't. Tomas Mariam told Black children to be kings, queen, all kind of positive stuff. Doesn't matter. Never told him to kill anybody, whatever. He's not in the cookout. But entertainers who are accused of murder, rape, there we protect them. So like, what's the rules on the cookout or the community? What do you think? Why do you think that we protect some and not others? Like, what is that about?
That's a very extensive answer, I would say, because, well, I'll say this. I have reservations about the cookout because I feel like I do feel like we push out our own people and we'll accept others. We are too quick to, pull a white person that can dance to the cookout. But when it comes to a Black person who might be LGBTQ, oh, you're no longer part of us. So I have reservations about that already. At the same time, some things you just shouldn't tolerate. And I feel like it's just down to what your moral correctness is and what your standards are. Because and unfortunately, we have to reduce it down to family members. But if it happened to you and yours, would you want your child to be around them? That's a yes or no. That's a yes or no situation. And if the answer is no, you probably should cancel them. If what they're doing is harmful to the community and other people, and you refuse to hold them accountable, they probably shouldn't be part of the cookout. Whatever this imaginary cookout that we have, whatever we have, this imaginary cookout. But the cookout really represents a place of acceptance and a safe space where people can live amongst and thrive amongst Black people and Black culture. And if what you're doing is damaging to that space and to that culture, you got to go.
Okay, great. Praise be to God. Thank you for your response. I just want to read some of the comments. Brother Joseph said, ASA family. Sister Anissa Muhammad says, the Black boy that was abused is going to be a Black man one day. So if there is a quote conspiracy end quote, then why isn't the Black child being protected? Teach on the idolatry. My sister Miriam says, teach on the idolatry of celebrities. And Brother Kareem, I think this is his first time watching, says, we love to pick and choose. We don't apply the same energy. Okay, great. Now I wanted to ask you about the documentary because you told me there was two. I didn't know there was two, right? And the documentary on R. Kelly. So what I heard was, the memes and things of this nature where there was feces, there was doo-doo being smeared on people. Like, what's going on with that? Like, I don't know what's going
on. Okay, so this is why the case now kind of makes a little more sense, because over the years, what the survivors were saying was that they're being degraded. They were being controlled, saying they couldn't go to the bathroom. They had to ask permission to eat. Sometimes they went days without food and water and going to the bathroom. They were forced to do sexual acts on each other, as well as him, sometimes at the same time. And they would be no older than 12, 13. Um, there was just so much that was happening to these girls to where you have to, if you can't step back and say, yeah, 10 to 15 minimum, something is seriously wrong, because the things that these women were saying and have not wavered from saying are absolutely horrendous. And there's no one I know sane enough to watch the documentary in full and listen to what they say and then turn around and say, yeah, free R. Kelly.
Mm.
I can't. So it doesn't sound right with my spirit. At most, I would say, he definitely deserves some help, serious help, seriously. And counseling, whatever you got to do, therapy, auditing, something. But to excuse that, what these women have gone through is absolutely not the case. They got beaten, and they were supposed to train the other girls how to act, how to carry themselves around him. When he had friends over, they were saying when he had friends over, they couldn't speak to them. When he would tell them to do certain things, control their money, control this and that. So it was very much like, this was not just a case of somebody raping somebody, unfortunately, which is serious in itself, but this was a very much calculated thing that a team of people came together and orchestrated. His former employees and managers were also um, on the witness stand in the documentaries and sharing their experiences of how they would train other girls, pick up other girls, see what they would do to other girls. And it's not something that I believe in my spirit and in our culture of accountability. I don't think that's something that should be taken lightly. But unfortunately, a lot of us have, and that's not gonna fly.
Mm. Yes, ma'am. So I wanted to be clear. You were saying there were 12 and 13-year-old girls with feces on them.
12, 13-year-old girls, 14, 15, and they vary. Of course, and there were older women too. So some like 30-year-old women, things like that. But what happened was, so they would come in, tell them their age, and he'll say, okay, you're 19, knowing they just said I'm 16. He'll say, you're
Mm.
19.
Mm.
Or what happened with Aaliyah, she married R. Kelly when she was 15 because there was a bribery in her legal documents saying she was 27. There's also, I believe, also saying that she was 19. So they were always trying to up the ages of these girls to make it seem like, oh, it was okay. But in reality, they're actually really, really, really young girls, as young as 12, 13 years old. So, but even if they were 21, honestly, it doesn't make the situation even better. Even if they was 45, if they were 80-year-old women with a cane, it doesn't make it any better. It just absolutely doesn't.
Okay, yes, ma'am. Oh, great. Well, I have a question for you. Well, your hair is covered. Name is Muhammad. So I'm assuming you agree with Islamic law. How do you
I do.
feel with as do I? Well, how do you feel when you see as a sister and as a woman, regardless of race, black woman, because I know everybody's gonna go black first, but just as a woman, period. When you see the men who are charged with protecting you, who say they believe in Islamic law, being light on this case, in particular.
So I grew up on respect and protect the Black woman, period. I grew up on respecting women, period. And when these same people who come from that same culture, like I said, as I do, it shows to me that you've been faking it this whole time, or that was just a cute slogan to profess, but not actually something that you carry out in your day-to-day life. And that may or may not reflect you in your faith. I don't know. All I'm saying is there's certain things that we say, but it doesn't match up with what we do, and it shows in the words that we speak and the lack of accountability we have on our faves and our celebs and people of that nature. Um, it really just shows how I feel like what people do sometimes, unfortunately, when they say, protect the Black woman, we're gonna harm anybody that harms our women. I feel like that's like a fantasy image of a white man coming into the hood and he does something to, no, really, and he does something to a black woman, and here comes a super FY coming to beat him up and, saves the day. That's not real a lot of the time. Sometimes you have to fight your cousin. Sometimes the person that might be your father, unfortunately. But this is the times that we're living in and the things that black women and girls and boys are going through. So it's not always going to be the white man. What's the minister saying? When we say, I seek refuge from Allah against the curse, shaitan, and nobody in the room but you, because we all have a devil inside of us. It just depends, you don't know who you're dealing with and how much devil is in them. And you need to, work to weed that out. But in the meantime, between time, you should be cautious and you should care about the people who are saying stuff is happening to them. Because if you don't care about that, then how are we supposed to protect you? Or are we supposed to feel protected? How are you supposed to protect us?
Okay, great. And I want to say that I told you earlier, as someone who organized Black men, especially young Black men, for years in the community, that was one of our main slogans, that the cadence that I would write. Like, if you attack our sisters, call us. Mess with our children. Mm-hmm. Any molestation, that's one of the main things that would endear the community to the FOI, especially the group of men that I was working with, because some of the brothers would go and their thing that wouldn't be their mantra, if you will. They would just be like land ownership, attacking the government, whatever, conspiracy, whatever that was. But ours was protecting the women and what we would do if you did attack the women and attack the sisters. So I have to say that, as brothers, we have to hold ourselves accountable to make sure that we make it clear that it's not just a few sisters speaking out against the hurt of women and men. Make it stand with the sisters. We stand with the victims of any of these crimes. And as men, I don't understand, whatever, that's another story. But as far as not understanding the hurt of the men, but I wanted to ask you about the parents. That's what I see a lot too, right? I see a lot of people saying, well, if he's going down, what about the parents and the people who brought the children to them? What do you say about that?
So they actually addressed this in the second documentary, in which they've seen so much heat for the parents, but not so much for like the actual people who were involved in these things. Some of these parents, I would say, one, I don't wish this happened to any parent, but what bothered me was when some of the parents, they said, we took our daughter to an R. Kelly concert, or we took our daughter to do this and that. We let her be around him because we didn't know that the allegations were true. And that's where it gets dangerous for me. Because if you as a parent hear that somebody is doing something to little girls, if it's true or not, what you do with that person is your business and yours alone. But I don't understand why you would bring your children around them. I think that's something and I'm sure those who are in this program now probably regret it. But it just shows how little we take things seriously and how we really don't believe when it happens to somebody else. But until it happens to your daughter, now, you want people to support you, and a lot of people will, but it's so sad when it has to boil down to you and yours in order for you to care. Some of the parents, it was interesting to see because they lost contact with their children. They didn't see them, they didn't hear from them for months. There was one family, they sent out like a search party, a welfare checkup on their daughters, and police couldn't do anything. So some of these parents are actually shut out from what's been happening. They be gone for days and days and days on end. It just varies, but I don't think all the parents should be held accountable in the same way that we should be doing R. Kelly or anybody else. But I do think, regardless, that there is something to be said about when you knew what was being said about this one person and chose to then have your child around them, which is, to me, shows how we need to move forward and making sure that we actually take what people say seriously, because it could be you and yours.
Yes, ma'am, absolutely. But what do you say to the women, right, who are outside of this? You see women outside of the jail. You see women who lined up, and women who I know of who told me stories about things that happened in their past, who are supporting R. Kelly. So it's like almost like what is that with people who know the reality of being predator, preyed on, and then they still support them. Like what do you say to that?
And I mentioned this to you before, there's such thing as internalized misogyny, in which women, and it's same as internalized racism, in which these systems, when the people who these systems are meant to harm and oppress, they internalize these attitudes and behaviors and profess them onto other people and project them onto other people, in which they blame people for the conditions that they are in and say it's always your fault. They really take on the language of their oppressors, and they take on the language of their abusers. Also, I think that, I mentioned this before, we're living in a Boondocks episode where people, are just going crazy and defending people. But I will say it's interesting how when you have women saying these things, I want people to also understand that this is a byproduct of telling Black women that to put their race first and not realizing that Black women are both Black and women. Because when you are constantly telling Black women to put their race first, regardless to whom, what, when, where, how, okay, the side effect of that is when someone who is Black does something crazy and wild, you stand behind them in everything that they do and don't question it. That's the side effect of it, to the point where when someone can go in and have a whole sex trafficking ring, you'll stand by them 100% because the last thing you want to do is be against your own brothers, and I understand that. And in certain cases, it's okay to be behind your brother 100% regardless. But it sometimes, and often does, gets to the point where they can do whatever, and Black women, being the supporters and ride or dies that we always have been, will stand by them 100%, even in wrongdoing. And that's, at a certain point, we have to. Here's my thing. I was not raised in a community or a culture in which separated women from Black people. When I was growing up, it was the Black woman is God, period. Both my Blackness and womanhood are both recognized at the same time, existing at the same time, so much so that I was taught that Black women as a whole were created before the sun. So I can recognize both, right? Even so much so that one of our impediments is racism and also sexism, right? I'm Black, yes, whether you want to say first or second, whatever, but I am Black and woman at the same time. And there's beauty in Black femininity, but that's a whole other thing. But needless to say, I can't afford to separate my race and gender all the time. I had to live with them both, because when we see situations like this, when you are so committed to putting race first, unfortunately, sometimes the side effects is you excuse the unexcusable simply because it's happening to somebody you see as only a gender and not as your sister. Whether it's in faith, in color, or in gender. But it allows you to dismiss something simply because these are your brothers doing it. But wrong is wrong, period, regardless of whom or what.
Okay, great. Yes, ma'am. Well, okay, great. You get a lot of comments. A lot of people are engaging with you. But I got to follow up with you on that point, because I agree. First, let me say that. But I also want to say that it is like a race card thing, right? Where it seems like everybody's saying if you question R. Kelly, then you're being a traitor to your race. How do you deal with somebody who didn't grow up in the nation or in a strong Black, where they're just looking at it objectively, but they don't want to be perceived as not going to the cookout or a sellout? They're just saying, according to the case, it might be, but they don't want to speak up because they don't want to be perceived as a sellout. What do you say to them?
Do further research. I would say do further research and really look at things. Dig in a little deeper and see why you feel the need to protect people that you don't know simply because they have power, or you think that they have power, or you might idolize them. So some of these things is really just idol worship, and people don't want to hold their God accountable for things. They don't want to take people down a notch and see, well, you are a God, you are not the God, so therefore you can be judged too. But I think that people need to really just take a look at themselves. And unfortunately, you have to bring it back to if it happened to you and yours, how would you feel? Sometimes you can just start with that. If this happened to you and yours, how would you feel? And depending on your answer, you are either a real genuine human being, or you need to be audited a couple more times, because it shouldn't be such a controversial thing to say rape is wrong, rapists are wrong, and we should protect women and girls and boys and everyone. Like, that shouldn't be controversial. And if it is to you, I would dig a little deeper and figure out why. What happened to you when you was a child? You can find out a whole lot just based off of that. And when you look in the documentary, the I believe it was episode one and two were just going off of his childhood and what he went through and his trauma and everything. So when people say the documentary made him out to be a monster, it started off and went throughout saying that he needs help. He needs some serious help, and guidance. And they were saying this about him, saying that he was molested by his sister and touched by his uncle. Like, they were saying all these things that, you know, happened to him, and it's unfortunate. But hurt people hurt people. So once you look at it like that, it comes a lot easier to differentiate, this human being versus this God that can't be touched.
Okay, great. And I see you all's comments. I'm coming to them. But one of the comments is dealing with that person's, like you said, like the childhood trauma. If someone attacks somebody in our family or molests someone in our family or rapes somebody in our family, should we, before we attack them or kill them or call the police or anything, should we sit down and have a conversation about their childhood, or should we react? What are you saying on that? Because apparently people think that that should be taken into account before action is taken.
I can only think of what happened to me and mine. If that happened, I'm gonna fight first, ask questions later. That's just me. That's just me. Especially when you know it's not right. I believe that correcting people and helping people is fine, but at some point, there are consequences for your actions at some point in time. I am very much believe in like redemption, people, getting the help that they need, absolutely. But at the same time, you can do that while you serve your consequences. You can do that while being separated from the household, the family, the community. You can do that while also staying over there somewhere. I believe that people can be helped, but while they're being helped, they need to separate themselves from the situation and the people that they are hurting. Because also, what about the victims? How do they feel? That there's so much outpouring love in a weird way for someone that harmed them. What kind of help are they getting? What help are the victims getting? What have we denied them? Some people make peace with their abusers. They choose to do that, and then they leave them alone. But there has to be some consequences made first. So I would say both are possible. But just because someone needs help doesn't mean they don't need to have some consequences.
Okay, yes, ma'am. Well, there's two things I want to say when it comes to police brutality, because you compared it to racism. When the police officer kills an unarmed Black person, man or woman, innocent person, and then the news reporter says, well, the police officer was going through stress and and then everybody's like, no, it don't matter, because it don't matter what they did. They killed an innocent person. Let's hold them accountable. I think we should do the same. And I also want to say that my father told me a story once where they were overseas with the minister, and I want to say Mecca or Saudi Arabia, and they put it on the news. They put it on like national television, Islamic law being carried out for rape. He said it was like a cable. It was like this is what we do over here, so y'all can't come over here and do that. And the Black people in America, Black people all over, everybody wants to cheer it on until the consequences come. And then it's like, well, no, I don't know about attacking rapists. I don't know. I'm like, in one sense, we celebrate the law. If you touch this, but then when it's being carried out, and it's not like he's even being murdered or hung in or lethal injection, nothing. It's just like, 10 years, too much. That's too much. So
it's really the bare minimum, honestly. Yeah. But I think people are just more so looking at the reaction of the people and how there's so much smoke for him. But I thought all rapists deserve death. He's not dead, so this is the least of what's happened. What happened to all rapists gotta go in the death penalty. What happened to we gonna kill everyone who rapes Black women, comes to the community and wants to touch little boys and girls? What happened to that? Where did that go? What happened to that? I that's why I said earlier, I feel like it's very disingenuous. I feel like people are faking it. This whole protect the Black woman, it's become a slogan rather than an actual practice that needs to be carried out and lived. It should be a lifestyle, not just something that you put up in your bios on Twitter.
Okay, great. We just have 2 more questions for you, and thank you again. Thank everyone who watched. Continue to like, share, and subscribe to the People's Podcast. Perfect. Okay, so I also wanted to say that there's a thing called copycat murders, where people would, if you see something on television, then people want to imitate, do the same thing that they just saw done, try to get away with it because they want to, be like a serial killer, something like that. Well, I think that these type of cases are very important for the Black community specifically, because if there's somebody who wants to get away with something, and he can say, like right now, he looks in it, he can say, oh, well, all I got to do is say, I'm trying to buy a television station. It's a conspiracy against me, and I got money, and that people will ease up on you versus the average homeless person, which I've seen so many times, walk past an MGT, walk past a sister, and people I'm talking about will fight them, kill them, drop them. It ain't nothing, no problem. But like just for walking past, he don't even know. You don't know what the headpiece is. It don't matter, nigga. We'll drop you. We'll beat up Black people day and night. But if it's a celebrity, it's not the same energy. That's what I've seen personally. I'm telling you, I've been surrounded celebrities, and the way we who have the knowledge of self can treat them sometimes. It's like, bro, they not above nobody. Like nobody is above the law. And some of the people who defend them, you would put the person out in the mosque 1 to 5. They out of here.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Oh, you out of here.
90 days plus.
This brother, he posted Beyonce dance video. He's the cold kind of all kind of stuff. But celebrities, they got a rough childhood. So I stay out of that. But I wanted to ask you one or two. Here go the two things I wanted to ask you was about you touched on victim shaming. You touched on the boys. We got to come back. I'll talk to you offline about the power of femininity because I think that's an amazing podcast and of stuff that I didn't know that you spoke about. But I wanted to say to the victims, what not just on a documentary, but who deal with this on a day-to-day basis, and what advice would you give to the victims?
One, might want to take a break off of social media because unfortunately, while R. Kelly won't see these tweets saying, we love you and we support you, but your cousin who was a victim of sexual assault, yeah, she's gonna see that. Your family member who is a victim is gonna see your outpouring love and respect and support for somebody who is known to harm other people. So it's frustrating and it's honestly triggering for people to constantly scroll on their feeds and seeing their best friends, their family members supporting people who would do something so on camera and caught in 4K, something on camera done to little girls, and then it deters them from even sharing their stories because who's going to believe them? Who's going to care about them? So I would say, one, take a break off of social media because it's draining, it's toxic, and it's triggering. Two, definitely speak to somebody. Auditing, therapy, counseling, whatever you got to do that. And I remember, I don't know which lecture it was. I don't remember it was, but Sister Ava, she was saying, people who are victims of sexual assault, you never really heal from it like that. Only Allah can heal that. But the comfort that you get is knowing that justice will be served and that Allah is the God of justice and that He will deal with it. So what I want to ask people who have a problem with the criticism of R. Kelly, what do you think accountability looks like? What do you think justice looks like? How do you think Allah will serve justice to somebody who did this to someone else? How do you think that was supposed to play out? Did you think they were just gonna, the wheel was just gonna come down and, spin around a couple times, everyone's redeemed? Like, how do you think this justice thing was gonna work? Because the message said justice looks very different to different people. It's carried out differently for different people. But what do you think, how do you think that God will serve justice? Because one thing I know about me and my God, one thing I know about Him, He does not play about His daughters. I know that for a fact. He does not play about His daughters. There's a reason why in Islam, rape is so very much horrible in our culture. There's a reason for that. And there's a reason why Allah doesn't play with that either. So what do you think he would do in this instance if he knows, and he does, of all these things that this person has done? Like, seriously. And even if not this one particular, in general, what do you think his consequences are? Because this is the same God who flooded cities and towns for worshiping cows. So what do you think his punishment would be for someone who does something like this? And if you think so, it's something outlandish, then I think you can take somebody saying a few words on Twitter about your favorite celebrity.
Okay, great. One more question. There's so many comments. I also wanted to say that another reference to the Atlanta FY drill team in 2016. We said my God is a killing God and my squad is a killing squad. Like, we believe that God kills. You know what I'm saying? So I don't understand the sensitivity of believers or people who's spiritual when it comes to 10 years. I don't understand. Whatever. Also, to the men, whatever, I leave that to the sisters, but to the men who love The Godfather, the first scene in The Godfather is dealing with rape, and everybody, and he's coming to The Godfather to say, man, this man beat my daughter. I want justice from the Corleone family. Everybody like, oh, I want to be just like Michael, just like Sonny, but then if it's a celebrity, you know what I'm saying? I don't understand. Whatever. We're moving forward, and also wanted to make one more statement. There was somebody who made a comment saying, what about that they think, it basically sounded like, from what I read, that it's almost like all lives matter, but with the R. Kelly situation where we're talking about the victims over here, and they're like, but what about the other people who did this? And it's just the same thing they do with all lives matter. Whenever we dealing with one case, Black Lives Matter, then y'all saying, what about this? What about, it's like when we dealing with this R. Kelly situation, if he gets his time, I'm not worried about Harvey Weinstein. I'm not worried about and these people they do go to jail. Like, I don't know why people think that the white men aren't being taken down. You know what I'm saying? Or like, I don't know why they think they're not white rapists in prison. There are. Like, I don't know. You can watch jail shows and see that there are white people who go to jail for prison, and who go to jail for rape, and are, when they in jail, there's that going on too. It's like, so, you know, I don't know why we think, I don't know, whatever, I digress. Okay, so my last point, first I want to thank everybody who watched. Can't wait to put this on YouTube. Everybody saying that's right. Praise be to Allah. Thank you. Boom, boom. My last point is to the women. What can they do as far as social media to just to stay positive when you see whatever is on social media? What can we do to stay positive?
For one, block anybody who's defending R. Kelly. That's the first thing. Look, the block button is
so much like my sisters. You act so much like my sisters. My God.
The block button is a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful tool. Use that. Please use that. But also indulge your mind in other positive things. The minister has so many lectures and points on the respect of women and how valuable women are. Just read yourself on that. And repost that and share that. For those who want to defend R. Kelly, you know, they're gonna do that. I would just advise the women to really get into and follow people who support other women, who are all about empowering other women and men, of course, and really feeding our spiritual and our mental, because the internet is crazy. And unfortunately, you will see a lot of content from people that you follow and been following. Unfollow them, please. Block them, please. And really feed your mind on something spiritual and uplifting, because that's the best thing you can do, especially in these dark times.
Okay, great. Well, I want to thank everybody who's in the comments, who was thanking everybody. Thank the listeners. I can't wait to put this on YouTube. Please like, share, and subscribe. This has been an excellent episode. It was a random suggestion from my sister Naima. Sister Queen Nzinga stepped right up and was like, oh yeah, let's get to it. I think a lot. I hope that some people are healed, and a lot of people are healed, and I can't wait to put it on YouTube so that we can continue to be positive and uphold the law. You know, I'm just of that, you know, thinking whatever. But praise be to Allah. All right, thank you, Sister Nzinga. This is Joshua Leonard Muhammad signing off for the People's Podcast. Assalamu alaikum, ma'am.
Alaikum salam.